welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, on whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community. Just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Welcome everybody to the Sunday live. And Herb, I think this is from Herb that is on, but Herb was on the water today. And he sent me this. Well, we're going to have the same problem. Why are my YouTube videos just not wanting to play? But he sent me this of a boat that was out cruising while he was wondering what kind of gallons per hour they burn on something like that. And it's a lot. It's so much that they could care less what it is, because they've got a $3 million yacht. And here, maybe we'll try to replay it there. And we've got a special guest as well while this is playing. She's got new purple hair to show off that her mom did for her this afternoon. So now she's excited to go to school. You want to say anything? All right. Love you. Hi! Get out of here. I heard you. Love you, baby. So that was from Herb. Thanks, Herb, for sending that to me and sharing the good time out on the water. Now, I'm not even going to say, he told me where it was from, but I'm not able to pronounce it, I don't think. Let's see if I can get this right. Bit of a flyby. Oh, where was it? Chotawachi Bay is where that was. So thanks, Herb, for sharing that. And thank you all for being on the live here today. Let's see. We got a bunch of the regulars, Jerry, Brock, Sustainability, Winter's hanging in there. An inch of snow yesterday. If we don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. That is for sure. Growing up in Nebraska, it was the same exact way. Corey, good to have you. Welcome to 11. I would love to hear if the boat is if the boat is in the water yet, or if they're still prepping it. I think they're still prepping it from what you said yesterday. I'll come back to your polyform, but yes, that is the one that I would recommend. Snow today. St. Lawrence Seaway is open for navigation. That's good. Near Destin, Florida. That's right. So that was, I always love to see the videos of where you guys are at. Northwest Indiana, snow yesterday, thunderstorms, hail today. It started out rainy here today, but turned into a pretty nice day. Nice day around 70 in Kentucky near Lake Cumberland is where 211 is, and hope to be riding next week. That is very good. Of Air and Sea, thoughts on Rinker boat. Rinker's a good solid mid-tier. I wouldn't put it in a premium level, but they did. I know you're looking at cruisers. I would put them in the top level in the cruiser line. They did a really nice job on their cruisers. I've sold some of them, but it's not quite to the premium level, but a nice solid boat. Rinker stopped building in 2015, 16, 17, somewhere around there. When did Rinker boats stop making? 2020. Okay, so that was Rinker, Striper, Larson FX, Polaris bought those brands and then shut them down when they got them in the deal with Bennington. All those the Rinker brand was with Bennington. Striper and Larson were not, I don't believe. But anyway, so 2020 they shut that brand down. It was a good solid brand, had a great reputation throughout a bunch of areas that were real popular, and they did a good job on the cruisers as well. Like I said, I sold one that was it was probably an 07 vintage, somewhere around there, and ran that boat, ran well, and a good balance on the cruisers. You got to watch out for balance. They can ride bow high, which is no good, too much weight in the back, and they can also sometimes be a little tippy, depending on the length that you're looking at. And this one was nice and well balanced, and they've always done a good job there. Back up to, who was that? That's the 211. Yeah, 211. Polyform is the brand to get. You've got a 248 Commander, I think. I'm gonna do a little plug for myself here if I can find it. Um, be patient with me. So I've just established a relationship, and now I am able to sell gear. The site is close to live. Um, let's see here. And you may want those. And I'll just pull this one up since I've got it. This is the hole through the middle, the HTM version. So we are now selling gear on the site. It's limited. I need to go through. The reason it's not live yet is I want to go through and curate it. So what I want to do is show just one vendor. Say, hey, if my best friend was to ask me what brand should I get, this is the answer that I'll give, and that's all you'll find in my store. You won't find the cheap stuff. You won't find the stuff that I think is more expensive and unnecessary. You'll find that, I think, where most people, especially you guys that are on the lives and stuff, would be looking for. So this is a hole through the middle where you can run your line there. They also have the ones that are the G5 and G3. I'm going to say you would probably want the G5, G5, and you can get the different colors for your boat. I don't know if navy would look good for you or not, but no, that's not navy. That's the royal blue one. But the G series has the twin eyes on it, if you can see that. And you want here's when you're looking for a fender, my opinion is you want as big as you can store comfortably, but not too over the top, right? So I think probably on yours is a G5. One of the things that I'm going to do, which is on my growing list of things to do, is to get all of the sizes in a video and say, okay, this is the G3, this is the G5, and then put a chart together and say, okay, if you're and it's probably about 24 to 26 feet is where that line will be. If you're a 24 and above, you want to go with the G5. If you're a 24 and below, you can probably get away with the G3 and be okay. Somewhere in that 24 to 26 foot boat size is about that switch where you want to move up sizes. I like the hole through the middle on the cruisers uh, because a couple of things that you can do with them. You can actually run the line through all the way and then run it sideways if you need to get in a spot where let's say you're on a piling, and that's going to give you a little more width, and it's also going to kind of roll up and down with it, is why they build them that way. But on your commander on the lake, I think the G series with the twin eye is probably the right one, and would love if you 211 if you want to get them from my store. I think they're competitively priced. That's another thing I need to do is go through and just make sure that all the pricing that I put in is competitive. I'm not going to be the cheapest probably, but I certainly don't want to be the most expensive. I want to make sure that people that feel like supporting the channel are getting good value, but I'm also going to provide information along with it. So just something that's coming. And if you go to boatersecretweapon.com/products, that will get you to the whole store. And just remember, I haven't curated it all yet. Right now, it's everything that I have to offer is there. I've already taken out the RV and the camping stuff that just doesn't apply, so I don't clog up the store. But and then it'll ship directly to you. And yeah, I think shipping's like $9.99 is the flat rate. No matter how much you order, $10 is what you pay for shipping. So anyway, that is. Thank you for asking that question. That gave me a chance to promote that a little bit. So all right, where are we at? Let's see here. Let's get back into the comments and see what we got. We talked about Rinker. Why are my eyes so off? Let me hang on a second. There we go. My daughter is they do a fun run and she just texted me. My wife is sick. If I have to get called away, I told my wife to text me. She was just throwing up and had an issue. She had surgery on Friday, and so she's been kind of out of it and not feeling well now. So if I get tied up, but we were supposed to call my parents and my brother and sister today because my daughter is trying to raise money for their fun run for their playground equipment or whatever they're doing this year. So she's all nervous that she didn't get asked that. She has got a salesperson mentality. She's always interested in raising the most money and being the winner in her class. So all right, of Aaron C. interested in your question too. Yeah, Jerry. So that the Rinker, like I said, here's a couple of things. We'll just do the 2019 Cruiser. I forget what the name of their um the name of their cruisers are. Let's see if this is a listing. There we go. I'll just this is I like to look at boats in person, but I'll just sort of point out some of the things that I look for when I'm looking at boats. So a couple of things when I'm looking at cruisers is I'll look to see how and where they mount their bow rail. And are they mounting it in a way that it's going to have some good structural support, and what do the walkways look like? So this one I don't know if the 290 EX Sport Cruiser, but the walk-through windshield, or it's going to be a walk around on the side. And I just like to look at what's the access look like to the bow. That makes it either usable on this 290. You can hop up through the windshield. There's steps on the door that goes into the cabin, or they might be molded into the helm. But you can climb up there. You can usually grab the windshield pretty easily. Let me go big on that so you guys can see it. You don't need to see my mug. But let me even see if I can. So if you see there, right there, you'll see the walkthrough. I like to look at the hatch and see, all right, how does that close up? How does the seal look? Because that's an area that can leak over time. Is the bow usable? So sometimes they'll place the hatch in a way that sort of everything else has a little bit of slope to it, maybe, and it may or may not be usable. I do like on the bigger ones, I like some of the bow cushions that they put on there, and just make sure that it's for the way you're going to use it, that the bow is safe. And this one's not bad. I don't know if the 290 is the boat you're looking at or not, but those are a few things that I look at. The canvas cover, of air and sea. I don't remember if I know where you are for sure. Jerry's up in the Chesapeake. So having this camper canvas is super valuable in my opinion in most areas. If you're down in South Florida, maybe not. But you can really extend your season on both sides of the starting early and going late with that. It really has a greenhouse effect, especially when you have that isinglass. Just make sure that you store it up real good. And I really like the ones that come out. I call them a camper canvas like this, that it comes all the way back and then almost 90 degrees down. It makes all the interior space usable. Some of them they're not the full camper, and they'll just angle down from wherever that last support is. And you really lose the usage of your aft bench seats. And like these seats right here. On the interior, I mean, you look at the hatches and the latches and how everything fit together, and they do a pretty good job because it is, this is a 29-foot boat. Most of your hardware and hinges are going to be in pretty decent shape. You can see the stairs that walk up. That's narrow. That's not a huge. I've got size 12 feet. That's not a huge stepping platform. It depends on who you are and who's climbing up, how nimble and how agile you are. But that's another area that I like to look and make sure whoever's going to be on the boat, that you walk up it and realize it's going to be more difficult while you're on the water. Okay. Sitting on the trailer or sitting blocked up on the hard, that's the easiest it's going to be. If you're in the water, you're rocking a little bit or rocking a lot, it's going to be, it's going to be more challenging. The upholstery is typically nice and thick. Even the bow riders is a good level of upholstery. And I inspected those. It probably was a 2018 or a 19 is the last time I was there. The entertainment area depends on if you're valuable or if that's valuable to you, how you're going to use the boat. And then in the cabin, every model is going to be different. So this isn't Rinker specific. This is just sort of my thoughts on the cabin. Is spend 45 minutes to an hour down there, reconfigure everything. How easy or difficult is it to maneuver around? If it's just you and a partner, great. If it's you and two other kids, if it's you and you want another couple along with you, whatever, how is that going to actually work when you're spending, on a rainy day, you're spending 4 hours down there together? Another reason why I like that camper canvas, although it's not easy enough to just put it up and take it down day by day usually, and it's a lot to store. But it makes this more usable in the spring and in the fall when you're more likely to have some rainy days that you're not just going to be hanging out. This now becomes usable space when you've got guests on board, which I like as well. But how does that configure? If you can get back in here, to me, that's the best sleeping area. because it's full beam, so it's 8.5 to 9 feet wide on that. And then look at the cabinetry, the woodworking. How's everything fit together? How sturdy are the latches and things? And that'll give you a pretty good indication of the quality. And the other thing that I like to look at, there's not really a picture, but what's the access look like? What's the access look like to the air conditioner that may be up under this bow seat? What's the access look like to the bilge pumps? And to the sumps to pump over the gray water, because you're gonna have to clean those out. If you're showering on the boat, you're gonna get hair in there and have to clean it out. The air conditioning, you're gonna have to change the filter, the water pumps. You're gonna have to winterize those, and so you really kind of got to get into the cracks and crevices. And Jerry, you might be able to speak to this a little bit. That there's a lot of stuff that you've got to deal with, and it can be on some models super easy. On other models, it can be a bear to get to where you need. So hopefully that's valuable for you of Aaron C. Just a few thoughts that let's see. There we go. Just a few thoughts for you there. All right. Let's see here. Interested in the market, looking for a bow rider. What's your take on price right now for both used, new, heading into the spring? Todd, tell me where you are again. It is. I did my market update. Let's see, spring 2023 market update. I did my market update in January, and let's see, this is the one. And I think it's still are still about the same. It's probably time to go dive into the numbers and do another update for everybody. But I did this one in 2 months ago, January 26th, so almost exactly 2 months ago. But it's the same thing. It's a little bit regional. Bow riders, if you're a stern drive, you're that's one of the areas that is most likely to be in a better position for you to really, really negotiate. Um, if you're in the Northeast, if you're up in the upper Midwest, I think now could potentially be a good time. On the used, I think you're probably in those market areas, they're getting a little bit more nervous than in some other the South, certainly the pontoon and the center console market. So I think depending on where you are, let's see, Orange Beach, Alabama. Okay, so you're south, so that's not perfect. The South is still doing pretty well. We've got the South has so many people moving from up north down south, so the population is moving further south and vacationing down there. So that I think that's helping the market, and there's not that wintertime slowdown that allows those nerves to start building. They're still selling boats. They're still selling boats all year long, so they don't get that anxiety of, man. I talked to a dealer the other day, and he said, our interest expense is getting back to be $30,000 a month, which is normal, but they haven't dealt with that for 3 years. And he said, I don't like seeing that on the P&L. It makes me decide, do I order that extra? They had some more expensive brands. Do I order that 40-footer or not? Do I order that for inventory, or do I just sell it off the brochure and off the website and the videos, and order it? These are the types of things that people are those questions. Bow riders, they've got to have those they've got to have them in the showroom, because you're going to sell off the actual boat in that situation. So I think you're in a pretty good position. It's a matter of right now, Todd, do I have a boat for the season? Or your other option is that you wait until late May, after the 4th of July, even better, and say, if things are flat or even coming down even further, then I could make my move. But now I've missed a majority of the boating season down in Alabama. Well, that's all right. you can boat into October, November easy, and maybe all year round without much of a problem. I mean, we can here. I was out on the water just a couple days ago, so it depends how much is it worth to you to get on the water now, versus saving an extra couple thousand by if the market comes down a little bit more. You wait until August, and if the new models come out, what's going to happen? I talk about it on this slide here. The way if the inventory levels are high, you're going to see the manufacturer incentives come in. I realize my math was wrong somewhere along here, but um, the uh, the dealer incentives, if we go look at, I don't know what brand you would be looking at, but let's just say Chaparral Boats. What you won't find right now, and you typically would to the end of March, is come on. Well, it seems like my computer doesn't want to run super fast. But what you would typically find this time of year is some sort of manufacturer incentives as they're going through the boat show. But we didn't see that. If you start seeing those pop up after 4th of July, I think would be the earliest that you would see them. Is man, okay, now I'm in a better position to negotiate. But the selling season is just starting to warm up. So it's buy right now, buy right now where before the selling season, then the weather's really starting to warm up, or wait until you get to after 4th of July. And now I'm really gonna hammer. Or if you really want to get the best deal, wait till after Labor Day when they're like, well, the season's over now, and now I can really, really negotiate if they have a lot of 2023s on the lot because 24s are starting to come in. As that goes, the used market is going to go. So if the new inventory is stacking up and they're dropping prices on new, putting incentives, well, the used inventory is going to follow that pretty quickly. Um, and I think I just did a video on this. Did I? This thought's been going through my head, and I don't remember if I did a video or yes, the problem with used boats video, I talk about it, is when you're looking at used, one of the problems is buying that 1, 2, 3-year-old used boat and trying to justify the lack of warranty with only saving 10, maybe 15% off the buy price of a new boat. And so if those new boats come down, the used boats will follow. But typically, it's those first 3 years are going to follow it really, really close. As you get older and older, that there's still a connection there, but it's really more that it follows a little bit different trend, if that makes sense. But watch that. I talk about it in that video, and I've been thinking about that a little bit more, how to articulate it more clearly, and I haven't quite got it down, as you can hear, but I do talk about it there, Todd. So let's see. Visited my boat today. For those that don't know, Jerry's got a 28 Regal up on the Chesapeake, 70 in Maryland, outdrive painted, ready for April Good. They painted my trim tabs. Hey, as long as they didn't paint over the anode, and that anode, and they didn't paint under the anode. So if they replaced those, I don't know if they did or not, but just make sure that there's solid contact, metal to metal contact from the anode to the trim tab. That's with anything. Make sure there's good solid contact from the anode to whatever metal it should be protecting. That's the only way they're going to work properly. And and that is um that's key. Some people, they put a yard guy on it that doesn't really know what they're doing to paint something, and they're like, oh, I got to paint everything, and they try to do a good job, and they don't understand. Let's see. 211, keep an eye out for West Marine. Sign up for emails if you haven't already. Got a Sailor TaylorMade super guards on sale for $50. um Yeah, those are good as well. What you wanna make sure on the fenders is that they're the rubbery material and not the harder plastic. There's some, let's see, TaylorMade Super Guards. So this is the same as the G5, the same size. The twin eyes, and make sure that they're that air pump rubber and not the hard rubber. Those are the ones I do not like those. They'll split, they'll cause issues on you as well, and leave worse marks. Ball type, let's see here. QQ are ball type fenders better than oval ones. Jerry, it depends on the situation. So, um, so the ball types are nice because they are hold on here. Let's see here, images. They give you a little bit more protection, in some ways, but they're bigger and bulkier to carry when they are inflated, okay, if that makes sense. So you've got this big round ball, which gives you a little bit more clearance between vessels, but they don't give you the same up and down as the Gs or the HTMs. Um, uh I'm not getting a good picture. There we go. So they will give you a little bit better clearance, um, but they don't give you the up and down. So it depends on how the boats match up and where you're at. But again, the big thing for me is storing them. This type is typically going to be easier to store. And you've got let's see, this is the TaylorMade. These are $70. Is that the same size? I think what were they, 59 that we just saw on West Marine or wherever that was. These are 69 here, and I think it's the same size. But yeah, they're work well. They work really well, but the storage on your boat, they're not going to tuck up under a seat as well. You could maybe throw them down to the cabin, but now you got them down to the cabin. That can be challenging. Any insight into boat insurance on 40-foot length? Savvy, it's going to be dependent on, well, it is based on your experience level. So a lot of people are having difficult time getting insurance on some of the larger vessels. And when I say larger, it's 38, 39 and above. So that size, what they want is they want you to only move up by 10 feet. So they want you to move from a 30 to no bigger than a 40, to get insurance, from a 40 to a 50. If you move from a 30 to a 50, they're going to say, okay, but for at least the first year, you need to run that boat with a hired captain, and that captain needs to train you on how to operate the vessel. So when you run it, they're responsible for the boat, but that whole time they're teaching you how to run a vessel of that size. If you don't do that, you won't find anybody to write the insurance if you move more than 10 feet in length. It's causing a real problem for some boat brokers that operate in that bigger 40 plus space, because people are like, that's ridiculous. I've got insurance on my 30 footer. I'm moving to a 50. It's a twin engine. I can handle it. Uh-uh. They are not doing it right now, because of all of the this is an assumption, because of the hurricane damage in some of these bigger boats. They're tightening up overall, and then because of the big influx of newer boaters, they're having more and more claims of people that just weren't able to operate and handle their boat. The liability of writing those policies. And there's really only three major carriers that ultimately hold all the risk. The Progressive, Geico, and I always forget this one. Uh, Shit. I forget it again. But there's three main ones that write most of the insurance. All the other ones have dropped out because of the weather damage that's been happening on a more consistent and unpredictable basis. They've also, Savvy, I don't remember where you are, but they're also requiring written hurricane plans, which they've always done that, but they're now getting very, very strict about if you don't follow it, you don't have any coverage. So if you say in your plan that needs to be approved, if you say in your plan, I'm going to put this boat and I'm going to run it 10 miles inland on a river, okay, that boat better be 10 miles plus inland at a marina when weather comes up. Or hey, if there's a hurricane, I'm gonna run it north, or I'm gonna pull it and put it somewhere on the hard. Whatever your game plan is, you'd better follow it to a T. Otherwise, they will not cover you. So those are some of the big things that I've heard. If you are savvy, if you're trying to price it out, I've got go to this website. So if you go to Boater Secret Weapon /boat dash insurance. I'll match you probably with Garrison. I don't know where you are, but if it's a bigger boat, just put in your information of what you're looking for, the boat type, and the state. And what I do is I'll match you up with an insurance provider that is probably a broker that specializes in those areas, and they know the different policies and they know the different areas to make sure you get the best coverage, not necessarily at the cheapest price. That wasn't what I was looking for. I was making sure that the people I recommend you to are getting the right coverage, complete coverage, so you don't get in a situation where you do have a claim and you have issues. They're really good if that's who you get matched with. Is they're also really good at if you want to make a run down to the Bahamas, you've got to get an additional rider. If you're going to run it outside of U.S. waters, you've got to get a specific rider for that specific trip over a specific period of time to ensure that you're covered, because otherwise your policy won't cover you, and that can be problematic as well. So, all right, good. So you're looking that right size, the 6.5. Depends on the particular situation you're tying up in. I prefer the round balls over the cylinders. Double as anchor bait too. Do you have, Brock? What do you think about the storage of them? What does that look like for you? And I assume you're running those. You don't. You can, I guess, throw them in your center console on your boat. But is that a challenge for you? Is that anything that would keep you from getting them on a cruiser style that Jerry has? I'm curious. Still leaning towards a sailboat due to fuel costs, honestly. Uh, yes, yeah, the Fiesta V. That's what it was. That's the model that I sold back in the day. Yeah, the fuel cost. I don't see a situation in the near future anyway where fuel cost is going down. I looked at there's a chart that I think AAA might put out about their expectation of fuel costs over the next year, and other than seasonal up and downs, it was not a lowering of the fuel cost. It's been a crap show over here. Every weekend I try to make it, miss it. Well, Matt, glad to have you. Appreciate you working us in and joining us. Hopefully it's a good one for you. The Rinker Bowrider Row didn't really track well at slow speeds, had to keep making adjustments. Sustainability, that is very, very common. It's I assume I assume that you drove a single propeller Volvo Mercruiser, doesn't matter, or even an outboard. But what happens is at slow speeds, because of the P force, that's the force of the propeller going and it wanting to crawl over to the side. That's what that little tab is on the. Oh, I just did the Coastal Boater Bootcamp, and I talked about this. What would that thing be called? Anode. This little guy. If you've ever wondered what this is on your boat, let's go a little smaller. So this sits on right under the let's see if they show it here, the cavitation plate or anti-cavitation plate, anti-ventilation plate, whatever you want to call it. It bolts under there and it sticks down, and it's usually off center just a little bit, and that's designed to take the P force away. So at speeds to track a little straighter, but are at slow speeds to track a little straighter versus the wandering that sustainability is talking about, which is it's just what happens. And at high speeds to not put too much pressure on the steering system. But what happens is they adjust that a little bit so it counteracts that P force, just a small adjustment. It's not, it's not a big adjustment, but that causes the boat to wander. And if you just leave the steering wheel alone, what a lot of people do is they steer too much. If you just leave the steering wheel alone when you get it set about right, it'll wander, but it'll wander in a straight line. And that's just the way they work. That's the counter rotating. Now they offset, the P forces counteract each other, and that will track perfectly straight, which I don't know if you have that on your Bennington or not, on that 400. I don't know if that has the counter rotating props or not. I need a serious haircut, it looks like. But that's what's going on those. Hey, Captain, can you go into how cheap hull is different than others, and is there a competitive difference? Okay, I just found this. Let me see if I can. I thought I had deleted these photos and these images, but I found them the other day, and now let's see if I can find them again. But yes, the short answer while I'm looking for this is there's a difference for sure. The difference is the quality of the ride and the comfort of the ride, the sound. If you think about the lamination schedule giving you a hull that's this thick versus giving you a hull that's, a little bit more than 50% the thickness of the cheaper, the sound's going to be louder. There's going to be more flex, which over time is going to make hatches, latches, windshields not match up. It's not common to see a windshield that should match up perfectly like this. All of a sudden it's like this, or it's like this, and that's all because the flex from the hull has caused things to adjust and shift. I've got a video. Let's see here. Nope, I'm not going to be able to find it. Crap. Let me see it. Try this. Projects. This is my Shutterfly account from when I was selling boats. There's probably a bunch of family photos in here too, but this was down at the Sea Ray Yacht Expo, which was a pretty great time. They had a helicopter flying around, getting all the shots of everything, and you could run anything that you wanted to. They brought all the customers down. I had clients that came down and bought a 45 Dancer, but I also had the opportunity to go to several factories. And that's me with Rob Parmentier, who was the president of the Sea Ray at the time. Now is the president at Sailfish. The wiring harnesses. Here we go. All right. No, I just lost it. Okay, so this on the left is a bayliner, and this is a Sea Ray. If you can look, the angles you can't really see it, but if you see how thin that is, and I'm talking these were 30 plus foot boats. If you look at the lamination schedule there, and then you look at it here, let me go big because that's not a great picture, and see if I can zoom in a little bit. How do I do that? Yeah, it's not letting me do what I want. But he was pounding on both hulls, and the Sea Ray, which was the more premium, you would see it just barely move at all. On the thinner bayliner, he was pounding it, and that thing was wobbling like that thing was wobbling like it was made out of paper. And it just goes to show you that you can't see the difference once you put the boat back together. So once you cap it off and put the deck on the hull, well, now you can't see it, right? You can't see how thick that is unless you drill into it and mount a rod holder or transducer, or for some reason you're going to drill through, and then you can see the difference. But if you pound on the hull, even when they're put together, what I like to do is I like to pound right here on this part of the hull, the midway through, just below the rub rail and before you hit that chine. That's going to be the part that's going to be most noticeable of how thick or the lack of thickness that you have. Okay. Does it make it unsafe? No, not at all. Does it make it more comfortable? Absolutely. Does it make it heavier and ride through the chop better? Absolutely. So Chaparral is going to be in that level of where the Sea Ray was. They're going to have a nice thick lamination schedule compared to, let's say Stingray or Monterey, certainly Bayliner or Tahoe. They're going to have their lamination schedule is going to get you that thick. And those other brands are going to be, maybe 75% of that thickness. And it makes a difference over the long haul. It's also indicative of 100 other little things that they do. They're going to use 3/16 stainless. The mid tier and the low tier are going to use 306 stainless. Guess what? You cannot tell the difference. I don't care how expert boater you are. I can show you two cleats, say this one's 3/16, one's 306. Pick out which. Can't do it. They're identical. Unless you have a magnet, that's the really good magnet. That's the only way you can tell the difference. But so there's a significant difference in the overall quality. Now, with that said, if you're running on most inland lakes and you're just pleasure boating, is it going to impact the fun that you have on the water? Absolutely not. Zero. If you're okay with that, if you're okay with a little bit extra rattle, and here's the thing, Matt, is you won't notice it. Like I'll notice it. I'll notice it because I've run every style of boat, and I've run the best of it in that category, and I've run the cheapest in that category. And so I know what it could feel like. And so I can make that comparison. For you, you're going to buy a boat. You're going to buy one boat, and you may ride on some other buddies' boats. You may have run some other boats, but you're not going to run them right after each other. And you're not going to be in tune to the little things that I would notice are other people that have run a ton of boats, and that have seen the factories and seen how they're put together and know where to look and what to look for. It's why I like to show pictures and tell this is what I look for, not just this is where I rank them, but this is why I do it. So you can do the same thing. If you have a Chaparral, if you have a Monterey, and you have a Tahoe, if that's the only boat you've run, you don't have the comparison to the others, and you're going to have a great time. If you buy a Monterey, and that's the boat you run 99% of the time, you're not gonna compare it and say this is crap. If you have a Cobalt, it's gonna feel solid, but you don't have anything compare it to how much better of a ride it is than anything else. And they're all going to be safe. They're all going to be safe. I've had a great time on a $5,000 boat, and I've had a great time on a $100,000 boat. I've had a great time on $1 million yacht, but it wasn't better because it was more expensive. It's more about getting out in the water, having great friends, and knowing how to operate the boats where the fun's going to be. If you have the mentality, or if you're how do I say this? If your lifestyle is used to having the best of the best, and that's what's important to you, then it will drive you crazy to buy the lower level brand. For me, I'm about getting value, and I don't have unlimited funds. I'm about getting value out of my life, right? I don't have the money to spend the most on everything. I'm okay. I'm okay getting something that's cheaper, and allows me to do the activity. And so for me, it's not going to matter whether I'm on a value or a mid tier. In boating, I'd probably go mid tier just because it might bother me a little bit to be too much on the value side. Hopefully that helps. I always try to remember everybody's got a different budget, and everybody has things that are different to them. And so that's sort of my thought on it. And again, as always, the dealer then is as important as the brand. So if you decide that I want premium, Chaparral, look at Sea Ray, look at Cobalt, look at Regal, and choose the best dealer in your area. If you say, all right, I'm going to go down to the mid tier, look at those brands, go to the best dealer that sells those brands that has the layout that you want, and the price that you can negotiate. So, yes, the trade-off is effort and money. It's with everything in boating. It can cost you time and effort, or it can cost you money. Always seem the ball fenders on larger boats. Good thought about doubling as a mooring ball. Anchor ball, yes. Bo, welcome. Good to have you. I just use them to pull my anchor too. You just have one that will float the weight of your chain plus the anchor. Saves your back if you're moving from wreck to wreck all day when you're doing your fishing, for sure. Bayliner's still giving me hell. Hooked up the drive through the transom is a lot harder than it looks. There's a lot of holes to match up there. There's a lot of things that have to be perfectly matched to get it there. If you've got one of those stands, that can be helpful. Hopefully you do. Let's see. I'm guessing you do have access to something like this that allows you to match up your spline and get everything in there properly, get all the linkages lined up, and so you can match everything up and get the bolt started. Let's see. I also like the round fenders for rafting up. 12-inch ball provides a little more protection than the cylinder. All right, well, that's good to know. And Brock's got about the same size boat that you do, 211. So I think that was you that asked that question about the fenders. Gives you more width, more distance apart, especially with the tiny engine compartment, maybe a bit underpowered with the 20-foot cubby, the 20-foot cuddy. Replace my anodes and they didn't paint over them. They have solid contact. Good deal. That is very good. Let's see here. We're coming up on an hour. Got my first boat last May. Need the bow seats redone. Dropped them off at a shop with great reviews the first week of January. They said 8 weeks or less. They're still not done. Uh, Woodward Boat Shop. Woodward Boat Shops in a nutshell. Yeah, that is in the off season. It's easy to say, all right, we can get this many jobs done over the 3 months of the off season. It's going to be nice and slow. And inevitably, it doesn't always go as smoothly as they think. One project takes a lot longer. It throws everything else off. I will say, Zachary, that a lot of times in that situation, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and the customer that's calling and checking up politely, because the customer that's a jerk doesn't get anywhere. But the customer that politely calls up and says, "Hey, I know you've got a lot of jobs, but I just want to see. You said it would be 8 weeks. Just want to check on how mine's coming." And every week, just politely but persistently let them know. They're like, "Hey, Zachary seems like a great guy. We told him 8 weeks. It's been 10 now. Let's move his up ahead." And sometimes that can be helpful with the right level of friendliness and persistence um, on that. Todd, also a lot of boats available up near Lake Martin. Fill a freshwater boat's usually in good shape before you bring it down to the dreaded saltwater. Yeah, that, especially if you're Todd, if you're looking pre-owned, that can be a great opportunity. If you're looking at a bow rider, if you're willing to go all the way up to Atlanta, I don't know where Orange Beach is exactly, but if you're willing to go up to Atlanta, they've got a lot of bow riders up there, 21 to 25 foot. Those are a great size for Lake Lanier. It's a huge lake. They've got a ton of dealerships all packed on top of each other. It's real near where the Lake Lanier boat show was that I went to. My buddy got a 21-foot chaparral, no trailer, so we had to transport it from Atlanta up here to Charlotte. But he did pretty good last year on that boat, buying it from a chaparral dealer, freshwater boat, and that could be worth checking into and seeing what the inventory levels look like. Expand your search, and because you're a saltwater guy, expand your search up into the freshwater, and you might be able to find something that's in better shape, and find an area where, hey, they've got their inventory levels are a little bit higher because of the sheer number of boats that are up there, and the population size. You might come across something that fits the bill. Any advice on how to get them done? Cabin reserve for the second weekend of April. Never thought this would be an issue. Yeah. Just what I said, Zachary, is let them know that, hey, I've got the second weekend of April. You said they would be done. I really, really want them done. I want them to be right. I want you to do a good job on it. But just, maybe twice a week, you call them on Mondays and Thursdays. And just let them know that you're ready, you're expecting them, and seeing where they're at. And even depending on where they're located, Zachary, maybe even popping in on Monday if they're open on Mondays. A lot of marine places are closed on Mondays because if they work weekends. But pop in the next time they're open and just say, hey, I'm checking. I've got this planned. And a lot of times, people that work in the boating industry, they typically aren't doing it because it's the most financially lucrative thing they can do. It's because they like boats and they like boating, and they almost always want to help. Sometimes they overpromise, like Bo said, but being persistent, being friendly, and let them know that, hey, I've got a deadline. There may be 3 people ahead of me that they don't care if they get it by Memorial Day, they're happy, but I need it by April for my anniversary, and that certainly could help. Hailing again. Hey, Bo, I'm telling you, if you come down to the South, you want to put your marine mechanics schooling to work. certainly would imagine that there's a bunch of places down here that would love to have you. South Florida, if you like that type of weather, really anywhere in Florida, would be happy to have another well-trained marine technician to add to their staff. They're always hiring. Or even if you're interested, the boat builders. There's a lot of boat builders down there, and they have a lot of need for skilled technicians, people that know boats. If that's of interest to you, if it is, reach out to me. I've got some contacts that I'd be happy to put you in touch with. Um, but we got nice weather down here. Momo, I recognize your name. Welcome, soon to be first time boat owner. Congratulations. If I buy it from a boat dealer, do they usually have some type of offer where someone will go out with you, give you a crash course? Momo, the good dealers will. When I sold, I don't care if you bought a brand new boat or if you bought a used boat from me. My most expensive boat was 600,000. The cheapest boat I sold was $200. And if you bought it from me, I would take you out and I gave you 4 hours of time on the water to do whatever we wanted: trailering help, docking help, basic maneuvering, how to set an anchor. I even took kids out on the tube and pulled them on skis in a tube to show their parents how to do it. Because the kids went to summer camp. They fell in love with the water sports. Mom and dad bought a boat for them, but they're like, we don't know how to pull them and we're scared. So I took them out there with the kids and showed them how to do it right. If you can't, the best boat captain will give you what you need. I got an email. I'll show you this because I loved it. I loved it so much. I put it up on the YouTube channel the other day. But this was an email that a guy sent me. I scratched it out, but he said, I sent an email saying, hey, did you get into the program? I did get it, and I'm learning so much. I hired a local captain and have taken lessons from him and have found that yours are easier to grasp and very thorough. We'll be getting the next one for offshore as soon as I master these. Thank you very much. Plus your version was less expensive than hiring a captain. So my program, the best boat captain program, I can confidently say that it is probably the best training unless you've got a great captain that's local. And if it doesn't work for you, if you don't agree, the money back guarantee is there. And if you ask for a refund, you get it. I've only had a handful of people that have asked for it, but they get it. And then I ask them after I give the refund, hey, why didn't you like the program? And most of the time it's, well, I have a twin engine and your twin engine version wasn't ready. A few of them said, hey, I thought it was going to be more advanced, or I bought it for a very specific docking situation that you didn't cover exactly. But what I do is I give you the how to operate your boat. So regardless of your situation, it's going to help you. You can check that out at Best Boat Captain, or just start with the Boater Bootcamp. That's free, and that will give you the basics of kind of boat ownership. Sustainability. Chubb, that's it. That's the other one. I don't know why I keep forgetting that when I talk about it. Jeremy Blackman is the VP of sales over there that I've talked to. I can always remember his name, but I can't remember the name of the company. But Chubb is the third insurance company, Geico, Progressive, Chubb. All right. I wouldn't recommend Progressive, by the way. You'll end up with more expensive problems. You save money buying a new boat with them. You'd save more money buying a new boat with them. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, we are always trying to improve the site. That's sort of like my store, right? So that's everybody that comes, either they find me on the YouTube channel. If they find me on the YouTube channel, they usually end up over at the site and always trying to improve that and make it better. So thank you very much. I appreciate that, Bo. My rate went down this year. Well, that is a good thing. That is a very good thing. And this is about the time of year where the rates start getting adjusted is February, March, April. So snow, hail, sun all at once. I don't have a problem with my Sportsman. I store them under the back seat in the wide open bilge that Sportsman has. Got 4 12-inch balls, 2 6x5s, and 1 15-inch ball. Plus, I still have room for my cast nets and some tackle. All right, well, that's good. That was always my biggest issue with them. But most of the boats that I enjoy running are pontoons and bow riders, and so having those big storage compartments. I bought 2 of the mesh ball bags that you keep basketball in after practice to store all my fenders in. That's a great idea. Something to kind of keep them organized. I really like that idea. Thank you for sharing that, Bo. P factor is torque like trim tabs on an airplane. Yeah, it's exactly like setting the trim on an airplane. You got the propeller force on an airplane that makes you want to crawl through, and so you adjust your rudder on you got a little wheel. You got a little wheel on an airplane, or the Cessnas that I flew. You got a little wheel that gives you just a little bit to offset it so you can fly straight. It adjusts. Being a boater, I got my pilot's license, my visual flight rules, the VFR, when I was probably 30. So I'd been running boats for 10, 15 years at that point. And it made perfect sense to me when he talked about setting the trim. I was like, oh yeah, just like setting the trim on your boat. Instead of this, your P force is this way. And it is exactly the same concept. Looking at a 19-ish twin jet boat in the early 2000s, what should I be aware of? All right, so Jack to Holland. I am assuming that it's a fiberglass Yamaha Sea-Doo type boat. One of the first things you want to do is make sure that you can get to the clean out ports. A lot of times on the older boats, either they don't have a clean out port, or they've never been pulled and they get stuck. Can be a major issue if you suck up seaweed, you suck up a rope, and you can't get that sucker out, or there's no access. So check for that. Make sure you pull them up. Do a run. Listen, I talk about it in my video all about jet boats. So all about jet boats, I talk about it, is those boats, 2000s, that's a 23-year-old boat. The jet engines have improved. The jet drives, the jet boats have improved in technology. It was about 08, 09. They made some pretty significant increases in the reliability and the technology of the engines and the drives. So you really want to make sure you run that boat and do a good solid on-water demo. I talk about how to do a good demo in the toolkit, which you can get free at boatbuyerstoolkit.com. But people that bought jet boats, they bought them because they like to go fast, and they were sporty and they were fun to drive. They've had a harder life than a 19-foot Regal has. Okay. They've had a harder life than a comparable stern driver outboard boat. Probably. Like, I'm stereotyping, but the person that buys a jet boat is buying it because they want to go fast and they want to have a blast out on the water. They're going to ride it hard. They may or may not take care of it well. They probably were first time boaters, especially if it was like the Sea-Doo Sportster type. Make sure that you get a compression check on that engine. Make sure that you do an on-water demo. Make sure you check all the fluids. Make sure that you're comfortable with how the boat handles, because in that in that vintage, they didn't have a docking mode. They're squirrely around the docks. Just make sure it's the right boat, and make sure that it's truly the boat that you want to buy. And Parts can be difficult, maintenance can be somewhat challenging. So make sure you have those checked off of, okay, I'm going to do the work myself, and I can source my parts from this place, or Bob's going to do the work on this boat and he's got access to parts, and we're good to go. Have all that lined up before you write that check, because you may find parts are very, very difficult to come by. You may find that nobody wants to work on that boat. And if you don't have the skills, can be problematic. Just, I want you to make a smart decision. And sometimes those older jet boats, be very, 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 very cautious with it, because of those reasons. Let's see. That was meant to say chaparral. Okay. Whole versus others, not cheap. Yeah. I think I caught the chap, eventually in there. But the same, as far as the chaparral hull versus the Sea Ray hull versus the Regal versus the Cobalt, other than Regal, that Regal does their fast track, with their cutouts to aerate the water to give it a more, less friction on the running surface on the back third. That stepped hull design works better on larger boats, but they do it. It makes them a little different. The handling characteristics on a Regal are slightly different on the smaller bow riders compared to the others. But is there a significant difference one to the other? No. They've all got good solid chines on them. They've all got a nice good reverse chine to hold the boat from riding up. They're all well built, well designed, well balanced, which is something to consider. We talked about it in terms of the Rinker cruiser earlier, but the balance makes a difference on a boat. Too much weight in the back, tippy, and the chaparrals are well balanced and well designed. They're proven. They've been building boats for a long time, and they've got it locked in. What kind of boating are you going to use it for? Yeah, Bo has some experience with jet boats, and good. I like it when I don't get the question right, but I get the answer right. That's good. Had to step away. Had to step away for a couple minutes to remove a tick from my yellow lab's face under the eye. Good. Well, that's good. No ticks to be had out in the Chesapeake. Yeah, it's a little chilly for ticks up there, I would think. Tim, good to have you. Captain Matt and everyone getting excited for the upcoming season in Boston. Real cleaning, lubing operations have commenced. Real cleaning and lubing operations have commenced. That's awesome. Welcome to the live, Tim. And yes, the weather, it's time to start getting ready, people. It is time. So that's a very good answer. So how about this V hull? The Shap has, they have the extended V. Yeah. No, it's not significantly different. The extended V hull plane, essentially what that is all right. We'll use my little model here on a lot of boats. The transom will come straight down all the way across. What Chaparral has done, if you talk to the competition, they did it because their holes weren't designed very well. I don't think that's the reality, but what they've done is instead of the running surface ending here, they brought it out more, and they've got their transom is another 18 inches, and the motor is tucked back up in. Okay. So the idea is that you extend the running surface on both sides like this, that you extend the running surface, and your propeller is right here. And what that will do is it'll reduce the bow rise, because it's kind of like a trim tab, right? It's kind of that same concept of a trim tab, is because you've got extra running surface here, your bow's not going to raise as high. Now, their marketing says that it gives them, whatever, 20% more efficiency, smoother ride, whatever. My opinion is that's just marketing speak, taking something that they do different than other brands. I'm sure at some RPM range, I'm sure if you run the numbers in a particular way, run the boat in a particular way, that those numbers can all be achieved. But in the general course of operating a boat in the normal way, I've run Chaparrals, I've run Sea Rays, I've run Cobalts, I've run Regals, and I can't feel a difference. Am I very meticulously calculating gallons per hour burn at different RPM ranges? Absolutely not. I'm a pleasure boater out running boats, um, or demoing, previously demoing boats with a client on board, showing them how it runs. And I've sold all those different brands as well on the pre-owned side of things, not new. We just carried Sea Ray new, but I've run them at boat shows, and I can't tell you, oh, there was a significant difference. It didn't feel any different. I didn't notice gallons per hour was out of range for what I would expect from one to another. So I would say it's different but equivalent, if that makes sense. But that's their extended running surface. Their V, what do they call it? The extended V plane. Um, Chaparral hole. Yeah, what do they call it? The extended V plane hull. Yeah. So, um, yeah, that. So if you think about them like trim tabs, this is a dealer, Lakeside Marina. I don't know where they are. They just pulled up in the low speed stability, efficient fuel economy. If you think about trim tabs, yeah, they can give you some additional efficiency. You got a little bit more running surface. You don't burn as much because you get up on plane slightly quicker. But I don't believe it's substantial. Feather soft ride, you can't feel the difference. It's not worse by any means, but it's not precise cornering and agility. And dry riding freeboard. Those are full throttle excitement. So as a marketer and salesperson myself, like those are a marketing person saying, okay, what can we say that's going to make our boat sound better? Feather soft. That was the really good one. Feather soft ride. Yeah, it's nice, it's good, but it's not going to be anything substantially different, Matt. Makes me sad when you hate on Monterey boats. Come on, John. I don't mean to hate on any. Like I said, Monterey is a mid-tier boat. I know the guy. He used to sell with me. I know the guy that is the general manager at the Monterey dealership here in Charlotte. Matter of fact, they just let him go. I don't know if it was taken from him or they let the brand go. But I have no hate for any brand. What I have a hate for are salespeople that try to sell a value brand as something better than what it is, giving people an unrealistic expectation of experience. And I hate dealers that don't take care of their customer. I have zero hate for any brand of boat. If I did, I would say it. I would absolutely say it. And there's people that watch my Bayliner video that think I'm hating on Bayliner, but I'm just trying to give a realistic, this is what it is. But John, come on, I love you, man. Um, and I just love boats in general. All right, let's see what else we got here. Um, yeah, yeah. If you want to talk about pain, I feel Bo. I should send Bo some flowers sometimes when I really get on a Bayliner kick. But again, just like I said to Matt, you've got to buy what being out on the water is number one. I have had my uncle who got my family into boating, told my mom and dad to buy a boat, lined it all up, had the guy selling it from his town of 500 people, Dodge, Nebraska, had it brought over. And, I think probably got it all set up for my parents. Said this boat would be great for you. They had this um 17, it was a 16-foot Sturry, closed bow, not cuddy, just a closed bow. It was open to the raw fiberglass under there where they threw all the crap. It had an outboard Johnson on it. This had maybe a 7.5-foot beam. This sucker was so tippy, but it was fast and it was great for skiing. And we had so much fun skiing behind that boat because we were out on the water. Doesn't matter. Getting out on the water in a boat that suits your need, fits your budget, gives you money for gas and insurance and maintenance. That's the boat that you should get. But I also want you to go into it with eyes open. So, um, Jack says water skiing, cruising, mostly relaxing on the water, but I don't know what kind of water I'll be boating on. Um, can be Great Lake, river, ocean, likely anywhere. Um, you Jack to Holland, you may want to, if there's a particular reason why you want to go jet boat, um, like I said, be very, very cautious. I think when you start to get to boats that are that old, I think you're much better off going with the stern drive, unless you're at the coast. If you're really going to be, you're saying Great Lake, river, and ocean, you're going to be pulling this boat all around. Think of where 80% is going to be. If you're inland, I would recommend getting a 20, 30-year-old stern drive that's been well taken care of is going to be much more reliable, likely. If you follow everything in the toolkit, if you demo it, if you check compression, you do a good solid inspection, I would say that you're going to have a significantly better chance of getting a great boat than getting a jet boat of the same vintage. Okay. If you're going to be on the coast, getting something with an outboard, in that, you can do a dual console or center console, or there's not going to be many bow riders, or you'll find some deck boats with an outboard, but I would look that direction if you're looking in that age range and probably that price range. My assumption of what that boat costs, I think you'd probably come out in a much better, much happier situation. Um, John, I chuckled because I saw that hate Regal as I was talking about Jack's. I hate that um, rear facing driver passenger seat. The bow riders are terrible. You know what I hate about Regal? This is such a dumb thing, but and I think they're still doing it. Matter of fact, I'm almost certain they are. This just drives me insane. I can't for the life of me figure out why they're still doing this, but I bet the ES has it. Let's see if I can find a good picture. No, I'm not going to be able, but they have the brake light. They've got the brake light on the stern. It sits in between the sun pad and the swim platform, and you plug it in, and it's for trailering it, and it's a little brake light to get it high up so you don't get rear-ended, and it baffles me. And they also had, in the older ones, Regal had the side view mirrors, which I thought was, I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me that you would put something that would easily be ripped off by an upright or a piling. And you're in a boat, you can easily turn and look around or put up a little mirror. But they build a good boat. They do build a very solid boat. And I sold against Regal. The Regal dealer in our areas was pretty good. And so I got to know them pretty well, and I could pick them apart when I was selling as to what to look for. But the reality is they build a pretty decent boat. For cruising, water sports, Sea-Doo, Yamaha. Wouldn't take it offshore, rougher waters. Be mindful of the size. Absolutely, absolutely offshore. Even going through some inlets without the ability to trim, that 2000 jet boat is going to be a significantly rougher riding boat than something that has trim, a stern drive or an outboard. If you're interested in offshore, the Cuddy, Bo is converting people to Cuddy cabins. I like it, Bo. Hey, if you get enough people, on this channel to go Cuddy, I bet you could get a manufacturer to start building them again. Do some sort of a petition. I'll give you the platform if you want to start promoting Cuddy cabins. If you're interested in offshore, though, the Cuddy from Sea Ray Bayliner, 19 to 24 feet. Yeah. If I was ever going to work for a manufacturer, I'd want to work for a Brunswick brand, mostly because I heard, yeah, they do a good job. Yes, Bo, Hotmail is still around. Hotmail is still around. I had to block out his name because I didn't get permission to use his name. But yes, Hotmail. I have people that have AOL still. Matter of fact, a guy couldn't get access to the best boat captain. He was having some sort of tech issue. It turned out to be on his side, but I got on the phone and he was making fun of himself for still having an AOL account. But yes, Brunswick does treat their employees very well, from what I understand. P factor is countering torque, left rudder to counter the torque in an airplane. Yeah, P factor. Yeah, P force is the force. P factor is the counter. It's been over dang near 2 decades since I did my VFR checkout ride and all that. If you're new in town, what general advice do you have to shop around for a good mechanic dealer, regular maintenance? So there's a couple things. Is the first thing that you can do if you're just getting started is go online and find the local boating groups. So like here, there's Lake Wiley and Lake Norman are the two big groups. I would join those communities and I would just ask, hey, I have this type of boat, or I'm looking for this type of boat. Who are the good ones? Who should I stay away from? Now, you're going to get some people that are just mad at somebody or whatever, but over 10, 15 answers, you're going to start hearing the same name over and over, right? You're going to start getting thumbs up. Somebody says Matt's Marine, and you're going to have 10 people that gives you a thumbs up on Matt's Marine. You're going to have one guy that says Matt's Marine sucks, and you're going to have 3 people that respond, what was the situation? Because I've been using him for 10 years, and he's great. That would be the first and easiest thing to do. The second savvy is to go to the type of marina where you would keep your boat. You can just walk the docks and ask. If you really want to make some friends, roll in with a 12-pack in a cooler and say, hey, I'm new to town. I'm looking at buying a sailboat. I'm looking at buying a cruiser. I'm looking at buying whatever, this style of boat. And I just wanted to get a local feel for the boating community. Who do you use for technicians? What marinas would you recommend? Are there, you can even get into this, are there any shoal areas, any danger areas that I need to look out for, that people always get hung up on? Anything where the navigation markers are off, or where things are shifted and they're not marked right on the chart. And marina guys that hang out, there's a lot of guys that spend a lot of time at the marina, and they would just love to tell a new person to the area all about the boating community. You sit down and have a beer or two with them, or you just sit and chat. That is a wealth of information. And again, just like with online, is take it somewhat with a grain of salt. Make sure that the type of boating that they do, the type of boat they have, matches what you're going to have. Because somebody may be an awful stern drive mechanic, but an outstanding outboard mechanic. Maybe they are a Volvo guy and they don't touch Mercruiser, or vice versa. So you do want to make sure that you get a little bit more specific, but the guys that like to hang on to their boat, polishing their stainless and doing the bright work on their boats, they've got a pulse for what's going on. and they are usually more than happy to share it, and you'll probably have a laugh or two as well with them. Yes, the Momo, that is a free download. Just go to Boat Buyers, what is it, boatbuyerstoolkit.com, I think, and put in your email address. I'll email you the link, and you can download. It's a 25-page PDF. There's also a cost of ownership calculator. It looks like this, and it's just checklists and questions to ask, a bunch of information in there. And then there's also a cost of ownership calculator, and there's a couple videos to walk you through it, that are in the members only area. Yeah, thank you, Bo. Awesome. Awesome. And then there's the First Time Boat Buyers Academy as well, which there's a bunch of videos, and it's just clear, concise steps to buying your first boat. Cobalt advertises they've pioneered the extended haul, I think, in the mid '80s. Yeah, um, as somebody that sold against it, Cobalt design. As somebody that sold against the, and I think they're still using that same hull design. Let's see if there's a it's hard to tell now with the huge swim platforms that everybody's putting on their boats. Um, but my father-in-law's got the R5, which is the previous version of this, and he's got that extended hull design where the motor is tucked up in. When I was selling, we would say, yeah, that's one way to do it when you don't have your boat balanced right, and you've got to make adjustments to the hull design to make up for the poor design. At Sea Ray, we CAD design our hulls, and we use the right running surface, so we don't have to add that extra part on, and we've got a superior ride because of that. And we don't have to monkey with tucking that lower unit down, back in that little area. The reality is, like I said, they all ride about the same, and there's bunch of different ways to do it. But yeah, I don't know why they're not showing it. It's amazing. The manufacturers have gone so far away from giving information on their websites. Like, the photos that they show are just not detailed like they used to be, showing all the differences of how they build their boats. It's really interesting. Um, it is very interesting. I screwed up this weekend and didn't check the fuel level, and the Ranger got back from Disney too late. The tournament was Saturday, only had about 20 gallons. I had to stop at the marina to top off. 10 cents more than at the pump for Rec 90. That's great. Where were you fishing, Brock? Um, where were you fishing? Asked a couple of questions earlier, I reckon. OPDM. I'm not sure what that means, OPDM. But let me scroll up. What did you ask, Ray? Lund fish. Ray, we talked about Lund last week. I thought you were looking for others. Yeah, Lund is a good quality boat in that aluminum market. They're probably on the top end. Because we talked about Lund versus Low. I thought we did. Walleye. If you Ray, um, when you look at the guys that do the walleye and the sturgeon fishing, they run a lot of these aluminum boats up there, and I don't know of any channels that are dedicated to aluminum, but some of these chat boards, you'll get a lot of good information, like that Walleye Central. Um, let's see who this guy is. Philosophy Daily, Lund versus Low. Lund is welded. I believe Low might be riveted. Oh, I don't recognize this guy here. I'm subscribed, so I've watched some of his stuff. But yeah, Ray, Lund is gonna be a more premium level boat in that segment, in that aluminum segment. I'm sure I mentioned this before, but if I didn't, I need to do a lot more um, inspecting of aluminum boats. It's something that I haven't done a ton because there's not a ton down in my area. So I haven't had a chance to go from Lund to Low to Tracker to Polar Craft to Crestliner. I haven't had a chance to do that and really get a sense for what makes them different. And because there's so many styles, you've got the walleye, the deep V, you've got the modified, you've got the flat bottom, you've got the windshield versus the tiller handle versus the side console. You got all of these different configurations and style, and I don't know enough about the different models within the brands, if there's quality differences or if they really are just layout differences and configuration differences. So, but yeah, if you are looking to go from your Bennington to an aluminum boat, from your pontoon to an aluminum fishing boat, Lund is going to be up on the higher quality level for sure. Um, Ray, chime in if you there was another question that you asked, let me know because I obviously skipped it. Certainly not intentionally. Um, I was watching your reaction and I laughed truly out loud. That what you see is what you get. I try not to change much of anything. The Brake Light is a big waste. Yeah, I have them on my 190. I don't understand why they're still doing that. It seems like such a I don't want to say goofy. Obviously they put thought into it as to why they're doing it. But the first time I saw it, I was a kid. It's probably 18, 19 years old. And I'm like, why do they have a brake light on a boat? And I wasn't smart enough to realize that you hook it up when it's on the trailer and it's an actual brake light for the boat. But it's just it's an odd thing. Anyway, 19 Regal 28 Express doesn't have side mirrors or brake lights. Yes. They did it. They're not doing it anymore, but they did it on the let's see, 1992 Regal 19-foot bow. I'll show you what I'm talking about, Jared. Maybe it was later than that. There we go. That 1900 had it at one point. No, I'll find it. I'll find it and boat show. Yeah, ask them if they're still doing it. Ask them if they're still doing it on the bow rider and what they think about it as a dealer that has, you know, been selling them for a long time like I'm sure they have. I'm curious as to what their thoughts are. Um what their thoughts are on 1990 to 2000. That had to be the time when they did it. All right, and we're getting on an hour and 40 minutes. I gotta go check on my wife. I was thinking of a jet boat because of their depth of waterways. I'm on, but I'm glad I went with my Benny. Much more expensive comfort. Yeah, that's another thing that again, if you are and I sold Yamaha jet boats. I sold Yamaha, I sold Sea Ray. We had Harris pontoons. We had Scout, Boston Whaler, and we had Crestliner for a little while, and Centurion for a little while. But I could always have a conversation with the family and know pretty certainly if a Yamaha was a good fit, or if they got pulled in by mom got pulled in by the safety of the impeller, which is a fact, but with the right training, it's really a non-issue. And they love the two-tier swim platform, which is awesome. But I could tell if they wanted that relaxing day on the water, if they did the higher pitch sound and the higher RPM running of that boat, um, they would enjoy the Sea Ray or the pontoon much, much more. But there were some people that came in on the Sea Ray because of the brand recognition that I could just tell they would like speed and they would like fun and they wanted to rip around and just tear that lake up. And I'd be like, you might want to look at this. The quality's not as good as the Sea Ray, or the quality's not as good as the Harris, but it's a hell of a lot of fun. And then talk to them about the sounds different, which to them was an advantage, right? To them, that the sound of the boat, the high pitch, the high RPM, they usually rode in on a motorcycle, or they talked about motorcycles or the speed, sportiness. They just love that lifestyle, and the jet boat is perfect for that. So, all right. Let's see here. Do you know anything about New Hampshire Insurance Company? My best quote was through them. Same coverage as Chubb. 211. I don't. My gut tells me that it's probably a Chubb quote running through a dealer or running through a broker. So they, the ultimately it goes from the broker. They might go through a third party that ultimately gets underwritten by one of those main three, or it could just go directly from the broker to the underwriter, to the direct underwriter. So my gut tells me it could be the same underlying policy that you actually had. If you had a claim, you'd be dealing with the same claims adjuster type people. The real big key to make sure that your coverage is the right level of coverage, and through a marine specific insurance provider. I talk about it in my insurance video that you can find on the channel. So you want to make sure that it is that the value is a set value based on the price that you pay, not a market value that's going to go down and be based off book value. You also want to make sure that for repairs, whatever the level is, 10, 15,000, that you don't need an adjuster, that a certified technician shop can say, this is what needs to be done. And if it's below a certain level, usually 10, maybe 15,000, that's good enough. They don't need to send an adjuster out there to verify it. The adjuster doesn't know what the hell they're doing on boats in a lot of situations, and they can waste 2, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or more of prime boating time. So I like the policies to have that written into it. A lot of them will have some type of a trailer, or CETO type policy, or type addition, where it's sort of written into the policy. So, and those will come from marine insurance providers. But my guess is that it's the underlying policy is very likely the same. Thanks, Captain. Love what you're doing for the record. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. I know you were just giving me hell. And I tell my wife this all the time when I go out with my buddies. She'll be like, "What did you guys talk about? What's new?" I'm like, that's not how guys do it. We give each other shit and we make fun of each other for 3 hours while having beers, and that's how you know you're loved. If you're not giving somebody shit, then you just don't care for them that much. So, just got my confirmation saying not downloaded to server. Momo, let me finish up and send me an email so I know which one you are, and I'll look into it. to get you fixed up. And I can also just email you the toolkit as well. It's just a PDF that I can email. I hear you. I'm a menace with the V-tries, almost any other wake set. Uh, uh, Thank you, Savvy. I appreciate it. Appreciate you coming back week after week and joining us here. Santee Cooper got gas at the dock. Black's campground. Yeah, that's great when it's only a dime more than it is at the pump, especially for Rec 90. Sorry, Matt. Seem like I'm in circles. I'm sure it's me. What do you go now? Momo, let me finish up, and I'm going to finish up here in the next couple of minutes because we're at an hour 45 now. So mine's a 210, and it has them. Yep. Yeah, I'm almost certain that I saw one at the boat show that still had it, but they just redesigned several models on the Regals, and I don't know that they're doing it on the new redesigned ones. Out of curiosity, why boats are right-hand drive versus left-hand drive? I don't know. Um, it it likely I don't know this for a fact, but it likely has to do with wait, I knew this at one point. I looked it up because I've had this question before. Um, no, I don't know. I was gonna make something up, but I know I've looked up this answer for somebody before. Um, but it's not clicking for me right now. So Ray, I don't have an answer. Maybe that's why I skipped over it because I wasn't smart enough to have an answer for you. Um, sure it's the Brits' fault somehow. Yes, very likely. Very likely. Off with his head. Gotta run. Corey, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Key West 211. Key West is a good solid mid-tier boat. They build a ton of boats. They're built about an hour away from me, down in Columbia, South Carolina. And they are the one thing that I like about some of the more mass produced boats is the resale is going to be good. There's nobody's going to walk away from a Key West because of the brand. Whereas some of the more regional center consoles, if you get out of that region where they're common, they won't have as much brand recognition. They can be harder to sell. But and like I say, T-Bone, with all newer or with all used boat buyers, Key West is a good solid brand, a good mid-tier brand. And you can go watch my video on the best and worst center consoles. Um, that's on the channel. It looks like this right here. This one right here. How long is it? Almost an hour long. It's got almost 400,000 views on it. But what's more important than the brand is how well the 211 that you're looking at was treated. How well was it maintained? How well was that Yamaha, which it probably has on it, maintained? Uh, how well were, let's see, 12, that's an 11-year-old boat. Are there any through hull fittings that need to be recaulked and resealed? Is there anywhere on the transom that water maybe got in and started getting down into the transom? Unlikely on a 2012, but could be worth checking and tapping with a screwdriver on that everywhere around on the transom and around the through hulls. But how well was that boat taken care of and maintained? That's really what's most important. Because if it was cheaply made, it will show itself. But the quality of how it's cared for is really, really what you want to know, and that's why the toolkit is key. Got to call it a night. Great chat, y'all. Learned a lot. Awesome. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it. I was in vodka heaven. Well, we'll catch you next week. You can join us. You can join us with the vodka in your hand. That's good. Is maritime boating insurance with Chubb. Perfect. Yeah, that's Maritime International Assurance is one of them that I partnered with that does a good job, and I know they ride a lot with Chubb as well. You know anything about having internet on a boat? I do. I do. Let's see. US Boat Expo full-time cruisers. All right. So of Air and Sea, go watch this video. US Boat Expo. Jim and Stephanie Palmer talk about full-time cruiser lifestyle. This is 148 views. Doesn't have a lot of views on it, but this was I interviewed like 25 people that were in the industry or live the boating lifestyle in some way. And Jim and Stephanie are friends of mine that sold everything, bought a 50-foot Carver motor yacht, and they went up and down the East Coast for 5 years. They just sold it less than a year ago, and are back on land. But they talk about he runs an internet business. He runs a coaching program, and she did a YouTube channel. I don't know if she's still doing it or not, but their business, their income was based on having internet access. And they talked about how they did it. They talked about the boosters that they got. They talked a little bit about the technology. So go watch that video. I think you'll find it very valuable. And they also mentioned the I don't remember what it was, but they talk about what they used to be able to get internet when they were on the hook, because they didn't always go into a marina. Sometimes they would just go on a ball or a mooring or go on the hook in a safe area, and he was still able to do what he needed to do. He used the hotspot some, but he does a lot of like this kind of stuff, lives and coaching calls. And he said that wasn't always all they needed. And he talked about some booster and some other stuff. So check that one out. I think you'll get some value out of that. Yeah, as long as you have 5G, as long as you have cell access, and the better the signal, the faster the times. But yes, and the Starlink is something that we have at our lake house at the Lake of the Ozarks, because they in our little neighborhood, which is maybe 10 houses, they ran fiber to it, but it only had enough for six houses. And because we are only part-timers there, for my family, we let the other full-time residents take it. And my brother's his business is home security and entertainment, so they have the Starlink technology, and so we use that at the lake place. That's been well. Once you're 7 miles offshore and service is spotty on cell phones. Yeah, Brock, that's funny. I just talked about that on the coastal Boater Bootcamp, which I filmed down at City Marina, on some boats down there, and talked about that exact same thing. Know that your cell will run out depending on where you're at, the air quality, and what's going on. I have a beer in my hand every time watching. You ain't got to tell me twice. Good man, Matt. Good man. Sorry, I quit drinking. It's not required, Bo. It's just okay if you do it. All right. Hope work cooperates. You get the boat purchase final paperwork signed this week. Awesome. Well, good luck with that 211. Hope it all goes smoothly for you. I'm going to call it quits and work and make sure Momo's got access to what he needs. Right after I check on my wife and make sure she's doing well. Nobody loves making YouTube videos more than loopers and sailboat cruisers. There is a lot of them. There are a lot of them. We got a BLT and a few beers going, beer, bacon, and boats. It's a good night. That is a good night. Well, thank you guys all. I appreciate it. I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate all the thumbs up, sharing of the videos, all the support. And tonight, more laughs than I've had for a while. So that's good. Thank you guys. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys all next week. Take care, everybody.